and those are the red blocks. And again, it's a real uncommon principal schedule from the same school as that director of operations. And while we know that you can lay a great plan and a week at a school might take you off your schedule, it's great to know that at least walking into the week, this principal is able to focus on those three areas that we feel are most important. And I'll take us back, and if we look at these schedules stacked up, the one thing that resonates with me is there is no possible human way for one person to do all this work. It's just too much, and so you can't add those schedules together and put them on one person. And when we think back to our kind of traditional superhero principal model, I think that's often what the expectation is. Since that can't happen, if you try to add this all to one person, something's going to be sacrificed. And unfortunately, the work of managing your budget, making sure teachers are paid, making sure the doors of the building are open, it can't fall away because the school literally can't function without that. So what we learned is what's sacrificed is teacher observation and teacher feedback. And with less teacher observation, we think teachers are developing less, they're growing less, and students are learning less. Which leads us to the second reason why we think this model is really important. It's because when principals and teachers do this operations work, students learn less. And we want to create a model where that principal, that teacher, that instructional leader time is sacred and protected so they can focus on what is most important to driving instruction in the school. And so the final piece I'll talk about is, I think operations happens at every school. There's a model for it somewhere, and whether you're doing it with a team of assistant principals, whether you're doing it, whether it's the principal, whether it's falling on a back office support staff. But I think for us it's really important that the people doing this work are, one, embedded in the schools, and two, leaders of the schools. And we say that for a couple reasons. The first is when you think about just about any school that I've ever been a part of or observed, about 80% of your resources are going to be dedicated to staff, and then 20% or so are dedicated to everything else. And schools are people-driven places, and your people in your building are your most important assets. And so we know that happy teachers who have what they need are going to serve students better. And so to get to this, we think that it takes a level of customer service that requires this intense attention to detail in everything that you do to make this happen. And so to me that means somebody who is in the school, who has an intimate knowledge of the teachers, the students, and the staff, and can spend their whole job thinking about this and thinking about how to manage every detail. So there's a great quote here from about customer service from a book about the Walt Disney Empire. And I won't read the whole thing to you, but again, the last line there says, "What's our success formula? It's attention to infinite detail, the little things, the minor picky points that others just don't want to take the time, money, or effort to do." And that's the real driver of success. And I think that we would feel the same way about our schools and the operations teams in our schools. That it's their ability to manage that infinitesimal detail that is going to give them is going to give our instructional folks the ability to really shine. And so the last point I would say is that while operations make schools run and happen everywhere, it's the leaders that make schools great. So I'll take you back to the kind of complex analogy for a school that I shared in the beginning. And I'd just like to read for you the vision statement of one of our directors of operations of one of our schools that he uses to drive this work, because I think it drives home the point for me. And he says about his ops team that we are the techies and the stage managers, so the teachers and students can be the stars of the play. Our ops team exists to serve others so that teachers can focus on instruction and students can focus on learning. We're the offensive line, blocking and tackling. We make sure people have what they need, know what they need to know, use their time in the most effective way possible. We are all about problem solving. Our operations teams do the little things that let the show go on in each teacher's classroom. And so again, it's this attention to detail, it's this ability to focus solely on this work, and it's this ability to do that while being a leader in a school that we think helps turn this kind of complicated, intimidating, messy place into a place where you can balance joy and rigor in the classroom, and you can have this place where instruction shines and cherishes. So that's it. I'd love to take any questions if you have them now, or happy to stay around and take questions afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. So when you guys are putting together your gift baskets for your favorite teacher, do not forget your director of operations, okay? Very important. Our next presenter, our fourth presenter tonight is going to be Arthur Samuels. Arthur is the executive director at Mesa Charter High School in Bushwick, Brooklyn. Before opening Mesa Charter High School this year, Mr. Samuels was a member of the founding faculty at Renaissance Charter High School for Innovation located in East Harlem, where he developed the curriculum for the college-bound program that is taught at Mesa. So please, everyone, put a warm welcome for Mr. Arthur Samuels.
Okay, does this work? Is it too bad? Great, thank you very much. It's really, really exciting to be here. It feels a little bit hubristic to talk about innovations at Mesa because we are all of 3 months old. We had our 3rd month birthday yesterday. We accept cake, we accept presents, we accept other celebrations. So rather than talking about sort of innovations that we've created, I think we should talk about a few things that we've done that seem to be meeting with a modicum of success so far, but I want to couch it knowing that we still have a lot to learn and a lot to grow with. Did I hit the wrong one? And one of the things that is my area of growth is using this PowerPoint. Which am I hitting? This one? Right here. There we go. Okay, so with that out of the way. So here's who Mesa is. We're a brand new high school that just opened up on August 19th. We're located in Bushwick in Brooklyn. So I know we have a bunch of Brooklyn schools here. We are a standalone 9 through 12 high school. We started with 132 ninth graders. So one way in which we're a little bit different from our friends who have come up and presented so far is that we're an independent school. We're what's called a mom and pop in charter parlance. So we're not part of any network. There's no larger, there's many success schools, there's many uncommon schools, there's many KIPP schools. I know we're hearing from public prep later. We are the only Mesa there is. And so we're very, very focused on our community and on our 132 ninth graders that are in our building. Another way in which we're unique is that we're a high school. So we have just a 9th grade. There are 183 charter schools in New York City right now, but only 16 of them are high schools. Very, very, very few people are working with the students that we're working with, and there are a lot of reasons for that. And there are a lot of challenges that come with that, and I'll tell you a little bit about the challenges that we have dealing with our kids. So 90% of our kids come from Bushwick, from the neighborhood. The other 10% or so come from Bed-Stuy, next door. 93% of our students qualify for free and reduced price lunch. I'm still going to mess this up. I'm going to just ask you, I think, to do that. Mostly to spare myself the embarrassment. So 93% of our students qualify for free and reduced lunch. 23% of our students are English language learners. There's a large Hispanic immigrant population in Bushwick. We get a lot of the students there. About 15% of our students have disabilities. 97% of our kids got 1s or 2s on their 8th grade ELA exams. So our kids are coming in way, way, way behind where they need to be. So that's one of the reasons that people don't like to do standalone high schools, because the kids come in very, very, very far behind. Another reason that people don't like to do standalone high schools is because it's hard to engage parents, or so they say. And I think it's really appropriate to talk about that in an event that's sponsored by Families for Excellent Schools. The existence of this organization is proof that parents want better choices for their kids, right? They want more choices, they want more options. That doesn't stop when your kid graduates from 8th grade, right? That's something that still exists for 9th grade. But if you go and you talk to people in high schools, you would believe that parents immediately stop caring in 9th grade. It's one of the saddest things I've seen in schools. So you can go to parent nights and 3% of the parents are represented, and you ask people why that's happening, and I get 2 answers. One is the weather. The weather is always the reason that parents don't come. Sometimes the weather is bad, and so parents don't come out because it's raining or it's snowing or it's cold or it's too hot. So sometimes parents don't come because the weather is bad. The other time they say parents don't come is when the weather is good. They don't come when the weather is good because it's too nice out and people are doing things, they're hanging out, they're going to the park, they're going to the ball game. So, if the weather is bad, they would come, but because the weather is good, they didn't come. So parents will only come when the weather is neither bad nor good. That's obviously not true. And the solution that's usually proffered is that there needs to be some sort of raffle. We could get more parents to come if we raffled off a $25 gift certificate to Applebee's, which I think is one of the more insulting things I've ever heard, because the message is really, parents don't care about their kids' education, but they'll care if you give them $25 to go to Applebee's. And that's simply not true, and we all know that's true, and the presence of people in this room is proof that that's not true. And at Mesa, we know that's not true. And so one of the successes that we've had is that we have phenomenal parent engagement. And we do that by building relationships. So we had a preschool orientation during the summer to get our parents to come. A lot of people told us they're not going to come. It's the summer. People are away. They don't want to come. 91% of our parents came to our pre-opening orientation. A couple weeks ago, we had our first back-to-school night where parents met with their child's advisor. 81% of our parents came in for an hour over the course of the day. They took time off, or they scheduled it in the morning or after school so that they can meet with their child's advisor and learn about how their child is doing in school. To me, this is proof that the parents care about their kids. They want to see them doing well. It's proof to the common sense thing that we all already know to be true. So how did we do this, right? How do we make this happen? We managed to build really, really strong relationships with our parents. And like Mike was saying, there's no secret sauce to that, right? We did it through shoe leather, and we did it through listening. Oh, sorry, I jumped ahead. Let's go back. Shoe leather and listening. So when we were recruiting students, we went to every single community event that we could find, and instead of saying, here's this great thing that we're going to do for kids in Bushwick, we said, here's who we are. We have a couple of ideas, but mostly we want to hear from you. Tell us what you want. Tell us what's important to you. Tell us what you care about. And then we actually altered some aspects of the design of our school in response to what parents said. We kept showing up. We just kept showing up again and again and again and again. There were no routes that were too grassy for us to be at an event. A parent meeting with 3 parents, we're there talking about Mesa with the same level of enthusiasm that we would at a giant town hall. Every single thing we went to, we talked about how important it was for us to be there, and then we shut up and we listened. We held info sessions in parent homes, so we used parents as resources. We would talk to parents, and parents would say, that sounds really good. I have some friends who might be interested in that. And we would say, great, can you invite them, and we'll talk to all of them together. I did probably 6 or 7 info sessions in basements, in parent apartments, and we did it in ways that were accessible to our parents. We printed all of our materials in Spanish, because like we said, Bushwick, big Spanish-speaking population. My Spanish got much, 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 much better. Yo hablo poquito, pero estoy mejor que Bloomberg. See? And that's all I had to say. And parents loved that, right? And I can say a little bit more than that. But I think it showed a lot, it gave us a lot of credibility that we were making an effort to reach parents in a way that they could understand, right? We weren't asking them to do all of the work, we were meeting them halfway. So the first big relationship that we built was with our parents, and we managed to do a pretty good job of that. So the next relationship that we had to build was with our co-located schools. So as a mom and pop, the school space issue is crucial to us. We cannot afford private space. We cannot afford private space. If we had to go into private space, that would cost us about 1/4 of our budget. Our special ed services would decrease. Our 3-week pre-opening orientation that we did, we started on August 19th, that would all go away. Our services for our English language learners, those would go away too. We have to be in the public space. We can't afford not to be. So we had to build a relationship. We're co-located with 2 other schools. A middle school that's been that's had a rocky time. There's a metal detector in our building because of the challenges that the middle school has had. And a transfer high school, a high school for overage, undercredited students. These are tough populations to work with for a standalone new high school. We wanted to have a collaborative relationship with those schools, so we thought about what was important to them and how we could build that community. One of the things that the middle school was used to having happen was people sort of overlooking them and treating them like they were, the least important players on the block. So we went to them and we said, look, your kids, they're going to be our kids next year. You're a fertile ground for us to recruit. And all of these kids in this picture, these are students who went to middle school in the same building that we went to, and now they're freshmen at Mesa. And it creates a tremendous collaboration between the 2 schools. There's credibility, there's a shared interest, because they care about their kids and they want to see them doing well even after they graduate. You can go to the next one. That was what we did with the middle school. With our co-located transfer high school, our high school for overage, undercredited students that we share our floor with, we wanted to do more. We're in a pretty drab, shabby building. It's been forgotten. A lot of you guys who are co-located in DOE buildings have seen that, they're not always in the best condition. We wanted a fresh coat of paint for our fresh start. So rather than hiring some painters to come in and paint it, we actually collaborated with a nonprofit called Public Color and with our co-located neighbor school. And the two schools together painted the entire third floor of the building, which we share. So our kids were painting their school, their kids were painting our school, and it became a big community event to come and paint at Mesa. This is Assemblyman Espinal. He's one of our local elected officials. He's going to be the city councilman for our district in January. He came and painted one day with our kids and with their kids. Not only does the building now look beautiful, and it really does, it looks gorgeous, but the kids have a tremendous sense of pride in it because they're the ones who did it, and they know the kids from the other school, and the kids from the other school know us. So instead of having that thing where you're kind of walking in the same building and you look at each other and you give each other the stink eye because you don't know who you are and why you're there, we can say, oh, hi Naomi, how are you doing? Oh, hi Alondra, how are you doing? And it's hugely, hugely important. And then it helps us as administrators too, because as issues arise, which inevitably they do in a co-located context, we already have that relationship to build on and we can talk through it. So we worked really, really hard on those projects. I have one more slide. No, yes, I have one more slide. That's it right there. So we did a really good job of getting our parents in. We did a really good job of getting them excited. 91% at orientation, 82% at back to school nights. Great. How do we keep that? What's the formula to keep that? The formula to keep that is more of the same, right? The formula to keep that is listening and shoe leather. Going to places, talking to people, but mostly shutting up and listening to what they have to say. The way we get our parents to come is we value their time. We don't ask them to come to things that aren't going to be important or meaningful to them. The way we find out what's meaningful to them is we ask them. We say, what do you want to know about? So a lot of our parents are concerned about bullying, big issue for 9th grades. So we did an anti-bullying week. We had an assembly. We brought parents in for that. We give, to go to what the first speaker was saying, tons of positive feedback. Every teacher at Mesa is required to make 2 positive phone calls home a week to parents. And if you can't find 2 positive things to say about your 132 students, you are not in the right business.